November 2016, I almost quit live streaming. It's kind of funny because now I'm actually a professional community specialist of live streaming, working with Warner Brothers, but at that time I was thinking about quitting. It wasn't like a lightning bolt or anything that struck me. It was like this slow decay of constant video and nobody watching and video and one person watching and video and something and so on, and it just felt like I was falling apart. The biggest thing really that got me was that I'd been learning so much that I kept realizing how much farther the end goal was going from me, realizing how little I knew as I studied and learned more. And the amount of work I was doing just didn't feel like it was paying off. The amount of study, the amount of effort, the streaming, and all on top of that. And I'd even tried switching up my content. I used to do VODs only, and then I switched to live streams, and I was really hoping that live streams would be great, which I love talking to you guys, but in the end, it was still something that was dragging into me. Then a life-changing opportunity happened, and I had the opportunity to work with Monolith Productions. I applied to them. A fellow YouTuber had sent me their application, and I went through the process, and holy shit, I was able to be hired and working with them. I mean, I still get emotional thinking about the phone call that I got when they actually gave me the opportunity to work with them. I'd had an email that said, hey, we have to talk, and I thought it was an email that said no kind of thing, because I'd received so many jobs turned down in that way, where thanks for interviewing with us, but I'm sorry. And I thought that was going to happen this time, and to the point that I was just that sudden spark of excuse me, you're offering something? And it was just, I actually still get a little teary when I think about it. But the thing is this process into working with Monolith Productions, about a month after I was hired, I was beginning to plan and work on how to do some live streams. And during that time, I ended up getting to sit down with the the VP of design to stream to thousands of people, to eventually have hundreds of thousands and millions of people watch these interviews I had with him. I was sent to Italy about 2 months after that, England, France, and Germany to show off Shadow of War. And then just a couple months after that, I was working at E3, ensuring a live theater show was maintaining its streams and helping out in other Warner Brothers stage shows. So, the thing that strikes me about this is how the fuck am I struggling on YouTube when I was at around just under 3,000 subs at that time, and I could hardly get $30 per month, to working with Monolith Productions, same skill level, but doing so much value for this AAA company and giant corporation. That's because of 3 misunderstandings that I had before I started. Misunderstanding uno. How discovery works. First of all, let's make this look a little prettier, shall we? How discovery works within content creation, YouTube, what have you. The major thing that a lot of people, including myself, mess up is that we think we'll be discovered. That's the first mistake. The thing is that it's not about being discovered, it's about you putting yourself in front of other people. Let me give you an example. So if we go, ignore content quality statement for a moment, we're popping on an adventure. You guys ready? So, if you were to go to Discovery (3), actually, this is called Solinome. This is a program that allows you to look up Twitch statistics that are happening now, 3 days ago, a week ago. I want to take your attention and point it to this graph on the top right. Now, what this graph says is channel viewer distribution between Saturday of 2nd of June to Tuesday, 5th of June. Percent of viewers. If you go ahead and look at that that pinkish blob line right around where the cursor is floating, this area here, this is the amount of Twitch audience that was watching the top 5 Twitch channels. I don't know how well you guys can see it, but right now I'm hovering over 25% of the entire viewership on Twitch was watching one of the top 5 channels. There are 17,000 partner channels on Twitch, and the top 5 had 25% of all viewership. Number 1, that mistake is discovery. It is very, 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 very unlikely you'll get discovered. So you have to be putting yourself out in front of people. Let's give an example of what that could look like. This is a gentleman named Rage Sack. I think that's how you say his name. This guy is a VR channel. Let's scroll down to a couple days ago. You can see about a month ago, this guy was getting 33 views, 56 views, 82 views, 65 views. But we go up to all of a sudden him playing Beat Saber, and the first Beat Saber video about a month ago has 41,000 views. The next one, 44,000. What changed? Was this guy suddenly better? No. What happened with this guy is that he started playing content that people were looking for. He found a trend, and his content was good enough to separate him whilst doing so. Now, I mean, when we look at this as a trend and this kind of thing, we'll talk more about how quality that content is, as I had it above me just a second ago, and why his content's good. But I want to take one more opportunity to point to this. Here is a video of yours truly, and you can see in the corner just right there's my head. Look at how bad that green screen was at that time. It's now loading and probably going to do an ad. Whatever. Go away, ad. We don't care about you for the moment. The point was that it had 6 views. That video had nothing happening on it. It was an old channel, and I was the only one being watched. I had this expectation that by making content, any content, I would be found at one point. People would like me for me. But the thing is that's not how content works, which is what brings us to the next thing. And the next thing is content quality. How good does your content have to be found? Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be good. It has to be what people want. So this here is not what people were wanting. People weren't searching for Borderlands at the time. People weren't searching for Krieg Isn't Heavy, just big boned episode 13. Nobody cared about Borderlands or me playing Borderlands. It wasn't a big deal at the time, and thus nobody was really finding search. Here's an example of a guy who had nothing that was a big deal and suddenly played the thing people were looking for. Beat Saber is a game where you are swinging lightsabers in a musical beat to something like Guitar Hero. I highly recommend you actually watch some of these videos because they are a wonderful example on some of the fantastic technology that exists with VR now. He is able to play this to music. It's really, as you can see, it's really quite arresting to watch as he's dodging those giant red rectangles, making sure he cuts with the red on the red button, blue on the blue button. But the thing is nobody's really here watching him play Beat Saber. They're watching a person play Beat Saber. And I make that distinction because of this video right here. So he's doing Beat Saber, Beat Saber, Beat Saber, but then he goes to this video, which is Catch and Release. It's a fishing game. The video before it had 28,000 views. The video after it had 71,000 views. But the video in between it has 2,000. People aren't watching this guy because they like him. They're watching him because of his Beat Saber video. It's the content that people have come by, not the person. That was the second misconception I made. I had this thought that if I made content, people would eventually start liking it and finding it and wanting to watch me. But the fact is, if I'm not doing something unique or interesting, nobody cares about my personality or how funny I am unless I'm so funny, I'm so unique, and I've moved beyond it. This guy, this guy has found what made him unique. He's the VR channel that has the green screen in front of him, so he's actually in the game when he's doing VR. If he was playing Borderlands, nobody would be watching him. He's not cool. I don't think he's bad. I actually don't know him. Maybe he's amazing, but he's not cool because of his fun personality. He's cool because of the way he's playing Beat Saber. And that's what's bringing people in. Not his personality, but the fact that he grabbed a trend. And we can see that with the fact that this video is not really that big. Here's another one that's like that. Down here, Standout VR Mixed. What same thing? The video before it was 208,000 views. The video before it's 15,000 views. What's important in these videos is the fact that this guy's found a trend. That's the major second thing. Now the final thing that I run into as my mistake is making money. How does one intelligently make money? Well, that's where we talk about integrating an intelligent product into your content. Because the thing is right now, if you have 100,000 subscribers in YouTube, not in Twitch, in YouTube, that will probably get you about rent. That's what I've read and asked for most people. They make about rent. And it's close. And I also know a couple people who have 150,000 subs who say they barely make all their expenditures and still have to freelance. They have a huge channel, one bigger than Shadow of War's channel, one bigger than a million other game companies, but they still aren't making enough money because they're not creating a product. When I was having the opportunity to work with Monolith and Shadow of War, I was able to drive clicks to pre-ordering the game. One of the last times I checked, about 6 months after I had started the Twitch channel, there was about 17,000 clicks to pre-order a $60 to $100 thing. That is true driving of value. That is something that you could cite and be like, maybe he actually helped create 17,000 potential pre-orders. Unlikely, but even if I did something around 10% of that, that's still 1,700 pre-orders. $60 a pop. That's paying some money. So the thing about this that is really coming out is you really need to make sure you have some product that you can drive people to. Because nobody's finding you, and so your numbers are going to be way lower. So you have to get in front of them to find those cool trends. You have to have that content that is really valuable, because even if you're getting something like a shout-out, wrong direction. Even if you're getting something like a shout-out, it's not going to be supportive to you unless that content quality is able to capture it. I've seen a lot of channels have huge initial spikes and then just plummet because they didn't continue to find the content that the new audiences or the current audiences wanted to watch. They just made what they wanted. And nobody watched that because nobody really cared about that person. Not yet. Sometimes they do. In fact, there is a percentage that happens. We could even go back and see this in a small amount with this guy. When we look at this video again at 2,000 views, all the videos before this, he was getting like 300 or 200 views, 76. But the thing is after a while, he did get up to 2,000 views. So that showed that some people converted to liking him, but not exactly at a rate that was big, right? Not exactly at something that really shows people are here for him. He's Beat Saber guy, and that's really what he is for everybody. So how do you get through these problems? This is a big one, and this is one that I understand as being one of the hardest questions. How do you get through this? Well, we have an intelligent recruitment program. So what is an intelligent recruitment program? Start with number 1. Micro-niching, SEO. It was one of the things that we talked about in one of the first live streams. We said SEO and find yourself a nice little spot that you can continue to put content on top of. Now, this exists on Twitch as well. Find games that nobody is playing that you can go and you can get people excited in seeing you. Once you're building up that little group, you will take a small amount of them that can transfer to other games. Unless you're intelligent like Beat Saber guy, if there was another game that was a lightsaber game that involved music, probably a very transferable audience in that regard. Excuse me. So, if let's say he was actually doing lightsaber games though, then that's a transferable audience. That's where the micro niche thing comes from. So it makes it easier for your audience to transfer to new content because they don't yet love you. So you find something that is similar to the content that they discovered you for, and you keep doing it. That's why you find a Twitch player who just does Fortnite, or a Twitch player who does space games, or a YouTube player who does RTSs or RPGs, and so on and so forth. So that's one. You have this intelligent recruitment strategy that sticks within a certain micro niche that you're trying to build this audience on. I did not do that. I went for a big old thing known as Fallout 4 and Skyrim. And I tried to find a micro niche in those. But the thing is that they weren't growing so much anymore. It wasn't a game that really worked well for that. Because once the content was done, it was all about mods. And I wasn't doing mods. I was just playing. So it was cool. People still look for Fallout 4 even today at 100,000 to 1 million searches per month. But it's not something that I was able to really make money off of. So the next one, Killer Hub content. Now this is the audience retention stream we did. If you recall that when we was all about tracking those graphs and making sure people are watching as much as you possibly can get them to do, that's how you test Killer Hub content. You can rewatch your own footage as well. I highly recommend you do so with the audience retention graph up. If you can't sit and watch your stuff, then who else can? Is a very important question in that regard. You need to be able to watch yourself and critique yourself whilst doing so. So to make sure that you get that Killer Hub content, watch those audience retention graphs and just watch yourself over. Financial plan. This is the business part of what you're doing. One of the things that is constantly missed in creating these channels is that you're starting a media company. You're not making a Twitch channel or a YouTube channel. You're making a media. Mine is called Kublai Khan on this personal channel. It's a media company. There's no healthcare. There's one employee. But eventually, there would probably need to be healthcare. If I'm going to go full-time, I'm probably going to need some employees if I'm going to go full-time. That's part of the process. You build a business. And an important number to remember is that 75% of all venture-backed startup companies fail. These are people who have incredibly big wallets and very intelligent teams backed by very intelligent investors. 75% of them don't make it. When we start these channels, we don't have backers. It's just us. We don't know what we're doing. We're learning. So the chances of success are really driven down. But, and this is a big but, a very important one, a Kim Kardashian. Wow, that was hilarious. Kim Kardashian. How's that for adding a little lightness to this? It's a badonkadonk, but the point being that there are 3 advantages that we have because of us following these types of things. If you have a good recruitment strategy, if you have killer hub content, and you have a good financial plan, 3 advantages. And they're all based upon this. By redefining a success metric, it's not about making it this year, next year, 3 years from now. It's about learning the quality of what you're doing. It's about understanding it and setting tiered goals, which this was talked about in my first live stream. Having a goal that's based around this idea. I see we're getting a lot of buffering, so I'm going to stop for a second. Kool-Aid, you doing good? Alright, I'll continue on for now for the VOD people, and then we will have stuff for you guys later, just as a heads up. Continuing for VOD. I'm going to write that in. It said, continue for VOD, and we'll cover again for you. So, you redefine your success metrics, because it's not about success tomorrow, next day, or something like that. It's about understanding what values you can get way before full-time success. First of all, by following these various setups that you guys have, you will have the best chance. That's the huge advantage of this particular one. By having a recruitment strategy, by having your intelligent killer content, and by having that financial plan, you improve the chance of success. So by redefining what you guys are doing, that will allow you to at least get this opportunity. You also can learn, and this will help you grow a resume. This is something where if you're taking this knowledge, you can pitch it to get yourself a better job. Wherever you're working, perhaps there's a place that's looking for a community manager, a social media manager, someone who understands online marketing through video. That exists in many different marketing agencies and just so many other places. So this here is something to pay attention to really use, because you now have a sweet project that you've been building that has a recruitment strategy. Oh, they love it, agencies. Has great content. That's what they want. And then you have a way to make money to convert. All very, 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 very important when you're trying to pitch your channel as something on your resume. And the big thing is that this can be a side hustle. Because of that huge percentage chance of people not succeeding through YouTube and that kind of thing, having a side hustle as this really protects you. You have a job, or you have plans or freelance or whatever that you have coming up that you're able to support this side hustle with. Because then if it takes years of success, you're able to do it alongside your other life and slowly build up this audience, making money and doing well. And especially if you take a job that allows you to be in a public eye, this is just so much more supported because people now can see that process too. So those are the major advantages that you have. Yes, no one's really going to follow you, but hey, you can find a micro niche strategy and grow within it. That is an intelligent opportunity that you do have the way to go through. If your content is bad, no one's going to pay attention. People aren't watching really for you, they're watching for what you've made. So if you're making Beat Saber and people are watching it, make sure you intelligently continue to turn Beat Saber out. And make sure that you begin to transfer to something else that will still be popular as you're playing it. good to do experiments, good to bring yourself into it somehow. Remember the financial plan, because in the end, and this is a big one for me, I made about $30 off of thousands of people watching my channel. Or I can work with some wonderful students and make much more than that through my Patreon, just because I'm able to give them a better value than what those other thousands of people were. So recruit, have some good hub and have a good financial plan, because as you redefine these success metrics, you'll have the best chance at success. You'll learn and grow a resume which you can pitch to get a sweet job, and then you can continue your side hustle. And that, thank you for coming by, guys. If you have questions after the fact, you'll see those down here. And if you want to see the discussion on those other channels that I talked about, that will be actually in a card that pops up right up there, and that will have the SEO, the audience retention, and those kind of things. So once again, thank you for coming by. 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We always do these live lectures, and you guys are wonderful for coming by. It was good to have you. See you.